We're back.
This is it.
Close of Play podcast.
With your new intro, I'm Ollie.
And I'm Craig.
We hope you enjoy this episode. Make sure you
Like and subscribe.
tell your mother, and
Let's go.
bye-bye. Welcome back to Close of Play.
Welcome back.
Good morning, God bless. Hello, good night.
God, I
Marco.
forgot how loud I sound on these mics.
I know, yeah. We were just doing, before we started recording, ASMR. I always worried I'm going to say the wrong three words and someone's going to think they've
BDSM.
tuned the
You
wrong
definitely
thing.
don't want to mix those up.
No. Anyway, Marco, good morning.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
Thanks very much for giving up your time to come and join us. I feel like I haven't seen you for a while, Craig. That's probably because I haven't really.
No, you haven't. You've been on the road.
Been on the road.
You've even missed dragons.
I know. I've let myself down. I finished yesterday. I literally left a job at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I was in work at 2 o'clock the following day before. So
Remind me who the client was. You sent me the photos, and genuinely, not just for the pod, it looked incredible.
So this was for, and again, everyone who listens to the pod knows my weird and wonderful way of working in London and the weird things we get up to. This was for a Greek yogurt brand. And the wonderful thing about Wizards, the wonderful thing about London is, regardless of what you do, if it's a good idea and you can get some traction behind it, you can sell a pot of Greek yogurt for £7.
Wow.
So
Plus toppings.
there we are. So if you want to do something amazing, get in touch. Marco, what's your name? Where are you from?
Yeah. So I'm Marco Oliver. I'm from Newport, and
That's it.
we're here doing a Newport podcast, which is great.
Nice, keeping it local.
Yeah. So
Clip that.
clip that. Yeah.
Cool.
Which is
Are we
what
done
it
now? Yeah, that's it.
is. So I'm the CEO of Configur. We're a data company. Essentially, we've got a code-free platform that helps smaller businesses and all the way up to government and larger scale. But mainly it's there for people who are running on spreadsheets day to day.
Okay.
Lots of businesses do. I think the stats, I love stats, by the way, so I'll chuck a lot of stats
Yeah,
at you.
get the stats in.
But 64% of businesses run on spreadsheets.
Wow.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
You know, it's a large number. And even the bigger ones that have systems in place still use them day to day.
Yeah. You mean spreadsheets for anything? Like, I'm just sitting there being
Spreadsheets
like,
for anything. So it could be...
am I that business? Probably.
Potentially. It could be like project management. It could be keeping track of invoices, keeping track of clients, things you have to do. Not what spreadsheets are for. Spreadsheets are for financial stuff, you know, but...
I have a spreadsheet for everything. I'm guilty. I'm one of these people.
So how do you take what we're doing on spreadsheets in is basically your company is applicable to any company?
Any company.
Okay.
So we currently work across 16 different sectors. So it can vary from sports clubs, agencies, it can be construction companies. You can basically upload your spreadsheet and that'll turn that into a system for you.
Oh, wow.
So it's about, you know, we do have templates to help people get started as well, because sometimes it's a case of, can you give us a bit of structure? We're kind of a bit freestyling here.
Yeah.
So we can help with that, but you can upload your data, it will turn into a system for you and then connect everything together. So it gives you this like 360 view, which is the key thing for a business, right? So you click on a customer, you can see their previous invoices, you can see their previous projects.
Yeah.
You can see everything that's going on. And the main thing is it does all the data validation. So another stat for you, 88% of spreadsheets, it's estimated, have at least one error in them. Now, that could be minor or it could be massive.
Is this user error or just formula?
No, formula errors,
Okay.
number errors. It can be a whole host of things.
And is this because we're now using them so much that they were never designed to be used how they're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason people do that is because they have systems. I think the stats are like 20 systems per business typically. When you start going to enterprise, they can have upwards of 500 systems. So it's insane. Now the problem is they don't talk to each other very well. No. They all promote like integration. Oh, this talks to that and this works for that. It automates everything. It doesn't when you get into like the nitty gritty of it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like they turn to a spreadsheet because it's easy to do. So we wanted to give a platform that makes it easy for businesses to do the stuff they want to do to fit them, instead of us telling them, oh, this is actually what you should be doing. Obviously, we're there to help and guide and stuff like that, but it gets away from that. So
it's your technology then?
It's our technology. We built it all. So we started 3.5 years ago, just before the pandemic. Great timing.
Yeah, I was there as well. I was there, April 19, good times.
So Josh Evans, who's my co-founder, and myself, we started the business, spent the first year. It actually turned out quite good for us because businesses went digital. They went from
They
this.
went online.
Yeah, they went from this idea of you have to be in the office to we can work anywhere remotely. And that's kind of what our product does. It gives the ability to work on stuff in a shared environment across teams.
So it was almost like a really
partners.
good testing phase for you guys.
Really good. So we
Proof of
started building
concept.
exactly. We started building some like example systems for other companies, and they were doing their own systems and their own things, but we were trying to just get the insights from that to kind of shape what we were building and understand how they were working and different things like that. So it was a really good time.
It is genuinely my biggest bugbear. And recently sitting down with a business coach and going over everything else, systems was my biggest like pain point.
Well, for all the different things you do.
Just because there is literally a system for everything. And I hate that because everything's got a subscription cost now. Everything's minimum £10 a month. And actually when you go to, like, for example, I'll be sitting down with Zach and he's like, what's all these outgoings? Actually, it's just systems.
Yeah.
For the majority of money that we're putting in, a lot of it's going out because of the amount of systems that we need to use day to day.
Yeah.
And I've trawled the web. I've spoken to other agency owners and they're like, yeah, we use the same systems too. No one actually does a one size fits all.
Yeah.
we do.
So yeah.
So your technology is not just, so it's like a CRM, it's an accounting, and it pulls it all together.
I can give you some good examples because I think
A case study would
that
be
kind
good.
of like helps build it out. So some of the agencies who work with us, which are sort of applicable to you, Craig, which I think that'll make it a bit easier to understand. So you can have like your opportunity management in there where you've got simple tracking of contacts and the opportunities that might be coming through.
Is that pulled from an email?
So it can be from, typically it would be like you entering that to say, I have this opportunity.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Almost like potential leads to be confirmed, live projects.
Prospects,
Exactly.
Okay.
But at any point, you can go, I have a pipeline. I know what might come in on these days because I put a close date in there and I know when this might come in and all that kind of stuff, but make it fit the criteria. So you might have like different labels that you want to put on there for different reasons and all those different things. Like it could be source, lead source, it could be referrals, could be anything you want to track, you can put it in there.
Okay.
But then when you then say, I've won this deal, it will automatically then convert it to a project. And you can have like a project template essentially that says, these are the tasks I need to complete to onboard my client, get that stuff in.
Is your mind doing what mine's doing and going like, we probably should already be working with Marco for both of our businesses. And Nick, my ops manager, is probably sat in the office listening to this and he's like, this is, I tell you this every day, we just need to consolidate everything.
Yeah,
and
well,
I was like, that's your problem solving basically.
Yeah, and that's it. And then it's like, you know, when you're managing your projects and you've got like your tasks that you need to do for the project and you've got the timesheets against those tasks and that generates invoices that you might want to do at different stages, it will basically handle all of that. But instead of you being like reactive and saying after the project.
Is it prompting you?
Yeah, it can be proactive. So you can get the information.
That workflow that you mentioned, can you automate some parts to that? So for example, it
all-
triggers an email?
All of it, yeah. So we can integrate with systems like MailChimp, all the different email systems you want. So you can connect that up to, we integrate with Gmail, Outlook. So you can have your calendar stuff in there. So you can schedule your jobs on there and stuff like that.
Can you create tasks for clients?
Yeah.
So for me, a lot of our stuff is obviously, well, client-wise, we have to do this, and this. Client has to do this, and this by this date.
Yep.
And a lot of it is like, okay, so we need to print ready artwork by this time.
Yeah.
And you could be copying in the client and their designers, and our printers could be blind copied.
So yeah, this is the interesting thing with us. We were about like, there's a lot of systems that are focused on internal, but we wanted it to be both. So you can have a view internally, which shows you all the tasks that are happening against every project that are easily filterable, but you can actually create client portals as well.
Okay.
And they can see just their tasks and just their invoices. It's quite nice on invoices because when they're overdue, it flags it up quite clearly on their portal. You're overdue this invoice. Saves you the difficult conversations as well.
The only manual process that I see then is the entering of the prospect.
Yeah.
Could you link that to a form though, where they put their own details in?
Yeah, so we've got forms built in, so you can send them a form link, ask them to fill that in, and then it comes in. You can also link it to other form software if you already used form software.
Can you link it to an inquiry form coming straight from the website?
Yeah, you can, yeah.
Bloody hell.
Or you can even put our forms on your website as a link.
We'll just pause the pod and we'll just go and have a proper business conversation with Marco.
Or just enroll now.
Yeah. But no, it's good because this is the thing is having these conversations with the businesses.
Yeah.
And the other thing that we do different is a lot of SaaS products you'll go online, you'll try it, and you'll never use it because you'll try it for a minute, and then you'll say, "Oh yeah, I'll get back to that," and then business gets in the way, and then you just revert back to what you're doing. But we do like onboarding, and account management all through the contract with the license and stuff. So we're there every month. We have client success team, data guys.
Yeah.
So they'll sit with you and say, like, what is it you were trying to do that you didn't do very well?
You're not just created a product. And so the only thing I used to work for another company, and again, like every company, it would appear has the problem which you've now solved, which is an amazing business. So massive congrats to that. Do you know what I mean? I imagine it's a massive headache of constantly trying to evolve and innovate this software that you've got now. They actually used the best thing I could find, because I didn't know you at this point, was a system called Teamwork.
Yeah.
And essentially that is elements of what you have, but it just felt like an absolute ball ache to invite clients, and to everything had to be manual.
Yeah.
And even when you'd invite clients, like if they didn't accept it and sign up to it and join it, all their tasks could just be outstanding, and then you'd have to follow it with an email. So is that quite common, as in like people have tried to get to a position of like, okay, problem solved, everything's in one place. That's the ideal for everything.
That's the
isn't it?
ideal, yeah. But you do still have customers that won't do it.
Yeah.
But what we try to do is give you the options, so you can create the portals for them.
Yeah.
But if they still, for example, they might be old school. They might say, I actually just want to send you a spreadsheet. We're filling this stuff out, but we just want to send you a spreadsheet of the stuff that we've done when we've done it. You can do that. You just click a button with us, upload that in, and it replaces the stuff that's there. So it makes it really simple for that kind of...
There's no kind of, you need an account to work on this software.
No, it can be any workflow that fits for every different client and things like that. So it just changes it up a bit.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, so that's kind of what we do in a nutshell, really.
Exciting, though. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's take it back to your first. What was your first step? So this is what, Configur is
3.5 years old now, yeah.
The weird thing with Configur is probably the same as you. So obviously, like followed each other and kind of spoke over the last couple of years. Never actually understood what you do. Is that just a typical? I'm a normal person. I see a tech company.
Yeah.
They look cool, but I just think that actually it's so applicable. Like we could sit down and activate in my business tonight. Do you know what I mean? It's that applicable. Yeah. But until you sit down and have a conversation,
do you know what's really hard? It is hard.
Is it like
to
a barrier for potential customers? Do you
Potentially,
think?
yeah. It's always been a problem for us in terms of we can do so much for so many people. And if you ask our client base what we do, they will all give you different answers because we do different things for them.
To everyone.
Yeah, so some of it's automation around their integrations. Some of it's like the stuff I just talked about. And then some of it is we power systems. So they've actually built platforms on top of us with like front ends and different things. So you would never know Configur's powering that. Yeah. But we are.
That's the same as, I think, well, definitely my bit and yours. It's like one of your clients might know you for marketing or a photographer. People know us for doing the signage or a shop fit or just project managing something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's exactly that. So what we try and do now is we focus on different verticals at a time. So we'll say, like, at the moment we're working with a lot of construction companies because they're using legacy tech or spreadsheets and stuff. So we can, the main thing there is proactive project management tracking. Knowing whether or not they're heading to not being profitable on a project is a massive thing. There's a lot of things that happen after the fact, and they'll do a review 6 months down the line. You might have lost 4 or 5 grand on a project. You're already in deficit for the next one. It's too late.
Whereas you can give them like a live...
Everything's real time in Configur.
So invoices... You could be like, okay, so the project quoted was 110 grand and you upload invoices to that project of 40 grand and then how long you've worked on it, and your software is going to give them an accurate, are we still achieving that profit margin?
Exactly that. So it could be cost of materials, subcontractors, everything that you use.
It's quite advanced then, really, to be able to do so much.
Yeah, no, it is. We're really proud of it. It's such a short space of time as well, you know, and it's been like a really rapid...
Who might growth. One of your smaller customers be? Not to mention anyone specifically, but what area are they in?
Just so we can make it applicable to anyone
almost
listening.
like a light version.
Yeah, so the lighter versions are around, like, for example, some of the sports club stuff we do.
Yeah.
So they might just be using it for just analytics, just like tracking tickets.
Okay.
But then even in that sector, you then have some who are doing their whole
commercial
email campaigns based on disability tickets and letting them know stuff is happening ahead of the time and stuff like that. So,
someone comes to you and be like, can you help us just manage ticket? And actually your data automatically is giving them 5 other products, which they didn't realize they needed.
Exactly. And you know, the nice thing with the platform is it does the data storage, security obviously is a massive thing because we work with government clients, and I was going to say,
how does like cybersecurity come? Is that just like one of your guys is always working on that within the software?
So we've got cybersecurity companies that we work specifically with. They'll do everything from pen testing, certification for us. Obviously our guys are building it with security in mind, but they all make sure that we're really like robust. So
because it's all data driven automatically. ultimately. So,
well, honestly, like I think the total cost of data breaches last year another fact for you. I just the fact,
another fact,
was around 4.4 million in the UK for data breaches. Was charged out. Now, it's not even just the cost in terms of fines and all the rest of it. It's the actual reputational risk that you have as a business if you let anything leak.
I'm sure we've all received a letter or seen something have been like, oh, someone might have your data. All the best, Jeff. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. Whereas, you know, if
you read it and be like, okay, so what does that mean?
Whereas if you're cloud-based, like we are, and we can control your data, it doesn't matter. Of course, it matters if you get breached, but it's in a secure environment, so they're not breaching that. So even if they get on your laptop and things like that, they shouldn't be getting into your other software. So
and everything's backed up automatically as well.
Exactly. Every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
And you have control as well. So it's every day for 30 days, and also you have control to take your own backups when you want.
Yeah. So before we go back and kind of get to know you a bit more in your business journey, so just obviously while we're all excited, and I'm sure everyone's listening, is like written all these notes down. So
either that or they've switched off. Yeah. It's one or the other, but I don't mind.
I'm excited about it. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not a tech guy. Just can you explain like the cost behind it then? Yeah. Because obviously we've got people listening who have got massive successful businesses. We've got people who are thinking about starting a business. So obviously, again, just knowing how business works, you can be like, it depends what you want. But
it basically is that. But at the same time, it does work on data capacity. So it's not like we're not like per seat. There's other things that are like per seat. So if you're a smaller business that has less data, we can find you affordable price points that match you. Yeah. And for us, it's not necessarily about the price. It's about the return on investment. So one of our customers, when they started with us, they were a water efficiency company. There was 3 of them, right? So they were like, look, we're going to be bringing data guys in every quarter over the next year as we scale. Yeah. They haven't brought a single one in since they started with us. They just finished this year and they've just signed for another 5-year contract with us now. Nice. So it shows like there's benefit there. I think we've seen around 1,200% ROI in the first year. So what they've paid us against what they've saved.
Yeah. So rather than them taking on people, your software is now giving them the data.
Exactly.
And whatever cost they're paying you, it's obviously cheaper than someone sat in their office.
100%. And their technical director, he saved 15 days a month.
Wow.
Which is insane.
Like producing the documents.
Yeah. So it was taking him. And this is the mad thing. It was...
I think that's the best comparison, isn't it?
Yeah. It's mad.
Time saved.
Yeah. McKinsey did a report, right? And they said 40% of people do a quarter of their time is manual data processing and data stuff. Why not let the people in the business do what they're there to do and get rid of all of that stuff? And that's where we kind of go, let us help with that. We'll come in and help you. So
as far as costs then, it's affordable, but actually for what you're asking Configur to do, you can basically say, okay, so we've done similar for this company and this is time saved. This is what we can generate.
Well, I mean, the best baseline for anyone listening is you're starting at hundreds of pounds a month as the baseline. It can go up to whatever, depending on capacity. But that's because you're getting everything from onboarding, support, training, and ongoing account management. Sure. Yeah. So we kind of don't do
It's not just a £20 a month and there's no contacts. You're paying for kind of... So you basically bring in one of your guys, like your resources coming.
It's like we're like your IT department almost. We're helping you with this stuff.
And is it fully white labeled as well to the client?
It can be. Again, that comes with a charge, as anything does. But there are on the even on the base stuff. There's aspects that they wouldn't necessarily know that it's us. You can brand it, color it, and different things.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
That's cool. So you solved this amazing problem, which is fantastic. What a kind of 3-year journey. What were you doing before? How did you get to that? Can you tell us school, what was your first kind of business adventure?
So self-admittedly, I'm a bit of a fanboy of the podcast already, actually. So, I know you guys.
We'll definitely clip that. Do you know what I mean? Listen to Marco's episode and we'll just
It's interesting because obviously in the community we're in around Newport, there's lots of the guests you've had on that I know through one way or another, and it was just good to hear their stories, which was a bit different. And then
no one tells that kind of the way the conversation goes. It's like you might know their business or see them, but you're like,
exactly.
But I didn't realise.
But like you two mentioned, you didn't go to uni. I was exactly the same. I was in
which
school.
Is weird because you'd think that you were a uni person because of where you've ended up.
Well, it was a weird journey. So I started off I did my GCSEs and I was like a bit of a swot, but in a good way. I had like A stars and A's. Got to A level and I just thought, why am I now being told that this is the next exam and that's the next exam? I don't want to keep going through these exams. I could just go and do something. So I left and went and got a construction job, which defeated the object. But that was a stopgap. I actually started in the ONS then, Office for National Statistics in Newport. Went into like an admin team, was doing stuff there, and I was just like, I was in a data department, which is what started my interest. I always did a little bit of coding and stuff on the side just for fun.
Just fell into it, as in like you'd never even touched it?
No, didn't know what I was going into. I just wanted a job in a professional environment, see what it was about. I was good at maths, liked data.
I'm guessing that's data, isn't it?
Yeah, it's data. And I went in as like an admin person.
Yeah.
And then it kind of, you just start learning off other people. I started thinking, this is quite interesting. Let me learn a bit more, and got a job in a data department. So I basically did a bit of training. I did not to dwell on all that stuff, but to shortcut it. Economics degree and A level and a few other bits and pieces to kind of boost that up. Yeah. A few data programs and different things. Went through that, and then
that was the point where you actually started to get excited about.
I was like,
data.
this is exciting. I like what data's about.
Which is weird because you went in there just for a bit of experience.
Just experience really, to see what I wanted to do. And then from there, it was like I was in a data team. I was an analyst for GDP. So the GDP of the UK, I was looking at recreational stuff. So it was all sports, gambling, all that stuff. So I found that really interesting. I was like, this is cool. But actually, I realised that and this is really weird full circle, kind of where we are now, but realised all the stuff we were doing, a lot of the analysis that they were preaching was actually manual processing. So it was actually me sitting there crunching the numbers to get the numbers out so someone else could analyse it.
There was nothing to generate the data into like a comparable
No, it was all
spreadsheets.
It was all that. So at the time, I just started on the side looking at macro VBAs and different things and how I could automate that.
Do I have a clue what that is?
It's basically the coding language of Excel, like behind the scenes. But so I started doing that and then went to my boss. It was a little bit of a weird one because I was a bit wet behind the ears, didn't really know what was going to come of this. But I was like, look, this month-long process we all do, I think I've got it to about 30 minutes. And he was like, what do you mean? So I showed him and I'd created all these spreadsheet macros and things. And he's like, right, come with me. I thought I was getting fired, if I'm honest. I thought I've worked myself out of a job here. I don't know what's going on.
Film in it, come with me. You've cracked the code.
I was like, oh God. And he took me into the director, showed him what I'd done. And he just said, right, get you on a fast track, temporary promotion, blah, blah, blah. Went from there. Then went over to the technical side of Configur. And again, a similar thing. We had a big project. There's a guy there, Rob Coleman. He'd been at a GCHQ and a few big companies, probably one of the smartest guys I've ever met in my life. Yeah. And he was like, look, we've got this problem. It's 400 days of work if we go and build this. We need to get this down. So me and him sat together, went through it. He came up with a bit of a thing and then I just implemented it all. And
how many days did it take?
It took 4 hours.
Wow.
So we
as a company, it's like, hang on a minute, we've just saved over a year.
Exactly.
Like, how do you surely you sit there and be like, okay, so I know my worth now.
I hope that's on your website in the About Us.
It should be.
That should be like the origin story.
Get a testimonial.
400 hours to 4 hours.
So Rob was like, look, write a white paper about it. It's this kind of thing that people want to know about. So we did that, went to the SaaS conference in the UK. So we're using SaaS software at the time. It doesn't really matter what that is. But went and presented it. And then literally a week later, my phone rang and it was HP, Hewlett-Packard. Said, look, we were at the conference, really liked what you did, blah, blah, blah. We're starting a SaaS Centre of Excellence. We think you'd be good for going for a job here. Yeah. And then that kind of started the journey, did that.
What you did with this, like getting it into 4 hours then, you basically just showed that you can understand how to implement data in a way that they would have literally spent 400 days on it before.
Exactly.
Or they were already doing.
Yeah.
Bloody
so
hell.
it was really interesting because then from then I was like, what is this new world? They've just come and basically offered me nearly double the salary I'm on in here. Yeah. This is insane. What's this world about?
Yeah. So you knew straight away you were onto something good.
Yeah. I was only 23 at the time, I think. So I was like, okay. So they were like, look, the only downside is you've got to work away from home Monday to Friday. So my wife and I, we've been together since school, so 17. And at the time I was like, oh, maybe it'd be a nice breakaway from her for a couple of months in the nicest way.
Funny when you start working away, though, isn't it? And you're in like the hotels and you're like, actually, I prefer being at home.
It wears off.
Yeah.
It does massively wear off. But I was away, so I was at HP, then I got headhunted to Sopra Steria, so went there as another project. So I ended up working in Norwich, Birmingham.
Norwich is so far away, by the way.
I know.
Have you ever gone to Norwich?
Yeah, it's miles
Jesus
away.
Christ.
5 hour.
Let's collect a car.
It's no good road.
They used to call us twats, right? Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, guys. Because we used to travel down on the Tuesday morning, work from home Monday, Friday. But I'd set off at like 4 o'clock Tuesday morning, and then I'd travel back Thursday evening, like 5 o'clock. It was 5 hour train ride. It was a nightmare. But it was really good projects, good experience, got loads of stuff from that.
And I'm guessing you would just go into where the HQs of these big companies were.
No, we were on client sites, so they had
Okay.
big project teams, and they would roll out to the client sites. So
it wasn't it was a HP problem or whatever. What was it, on Cisco or whatever that problem, but for one of their clients using their products.
They would bring in the clients to do consultancy projects and say, we have this massive data. So we were building big data warehouses, right? We're talking multi-million pound projects.
Did the clients not just start saying, "Can you do stuff for us?" Like, do you know what I mean?
No, they weren't allowed.
What? So you were there from here.
Yeah.
In my head, it's like I'd start being like, "We've got issues that take us 170 days."
Yeah, I
and
know.
you could be like, "I'll do that tonight for you."
The thing is, we're there for in that capacity. They've already bought the service, so we're just there delivering the service for them.
Yeah.
But it was kind of getting into the world of like sales.
Yeah.
So I got brought onto like the pre-sales technical team and stuff like that. Really amazing.
Used to be the problem guy, but actually now they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, while you're there, tell them about this."
I used to
That's good
experience this
networking.
all the time when I worked with Oracle. They would come in and they would address these problems, build these systems,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, upsell.
Yeah, that's exactly what those companies do.
Did you start to feel restricted though? Because like listening to your story now, it's like you're the guy.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
Do you know what? It wasn't restricted. I kept doing the same thing. So while in there trying to innovate and do new things, and
In the evenings, were you still working on your own kind
but
of?
But even for them, I was
Okay.
building like new systems for them. Like when I left Sopra, I left a bit of code there with them. Because when you work for these companies, you can't take that idea away. You are doing it for them.
That's
so
all their time.
left some ideas. It was called like ABC, very innovative name, I promise you. But like left things with them, which is great because it adds stuff to your CV. But at the time, I wasn't thinking of it like I'm going to do my own business.
Yeah.
Even then, I was still thinking
You're always
I
gonna
just
do it
want
for
to do the
someone else.
best job for someone else.
Yeah.
Like I
but
think,
doing it for these big companies actually made you think like, now it's like,
Yeah.
I can offer all this to whoever wants it.
exactly.
You've got all this success, and everyone's obviously telling you how good of a job you are. What was the turning? Why leave that corporate environment then? What was the turning factor where you decided to jump?
I'll be completely honest. At that point, it was money. Because I think so.
Did you start to see all the money around you and like the little you were getting?
we were making good salaries, but it wasn't the kind of money like the contractors were making when they were coming into assist.
Yeah, coming in.
$850 a day, $900 a day, and you're going, wow, this is insane money. And actually, there's a lot of stuff here that I'm no more than than them on. So
Even though you're on the salary, which is amazing, it's like someone's coming in for a day, just working 1 day a week and earning $4,000 a month. Do you know what I mean?
exactly, yeah. But it's like I just thought, and it was the working away from home was the biggest turning point as well. It was like, hang on, if I can get a contract closer to home, I could probably get a lot more money, which would be amazing. At the time, I think I was about 27, wanted to start a family.
Yeah.
I was like, we can
Still quite young though, do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
so I was like, I can do my own thing, not have to travel. I'm going to do that. And luckily an opportunity came back up, full circle again, back in ONS. They had a contracting job. It wasn't that kind of day rate, but because it's government, but it was a really good day rate and really positive to be back there.
Was it
doing
nice
something.
to go back?
Yeah.
And obviously you knew what you did for them as well. And they obviously appreciated that.
Yeah, and there's a great, ONS is an amazing
And
company.
I
to work for.
imagine because they retain staff so well, you went back and you saw all the same faces.
Yeah, it was very nice. It was really nice, yeah. But it was similar teams. They're like a really good environment. They look after everyone there, even contractors. They're not like they don't treat you badly.
But
or anything.
you felt better because you were getting you had what you wanted.
Yeah.
You had that day rate.
Exactly.
You weren't away from your family.
I was home, starting a family. It was amazing. And again, there was a sort of another trigger point then. So we got pregnant. We had Lorenzo come in. He was due. It was about 38 weeks. Oh no, sorry, 35 weeks. And got a phone call, and I was in the contracting job, and I had literally been to every appointment with her, but I didn't go to this one appointment. I was like, oh no, I'm really busy on this project. I got to get this, and she just said, there's no heartbeat with a baby. We need to get in the hospital. So literally dropped everything, headed to the hospital, and he was stillborn like a day or two after that. It was horrendous. It was it's one of those horrible things, but
it made you put everything into perspective.
it got away from that idea of like money. At the time, it was very much like money's everything. It just overnight changed for me. I was like,
perspective changes.
this isn't what it's all about. Like I would give any money in the world, anything to have him back, but it isn't the way it was. So, but a big shout out to like Sands, who actually is a client of ours now, which is amazing.
That's nice.
So they're stillborn and neonatal death charity, and they like support you, and like they put you in a room with the baby overnight, and it's called the butterfly room and stuff like that. And it's amazing. So it was like a really nice way to end a horrible situation.
Sure.
So it's great to like have them as clients, be working with them again, and we do like a lot of charity stuff for them and things. But that was the next turning point then, was to go, hang on, this is great contracting world, but I'm not building anything for myself.
Yeah. And then you were like, everything I do from this point is for me and my family.
It's got to be for me and my family. Like, what is that stuff that we're going to do? So, and then a friend of mine said, I've got a chatbot, an AI company. Would you be interested in coming to work there and do this kind of stuff? It's a startup. And I was like, what the hell's a startup? I'd only been in big corporates. I had no idea what this world of startups was.
What do you mean people start somewhere?
What, this is your business, your idea? Like, it just felt really alien.
Because you'd done all these almost like startup ideas, but in like massive national companies.
When, just for timescales, when did you join this startup?
So it was about about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and we, at that point, so it was about about 6 months after Lorenzo, and then went to the startup, started doing that. And we and it was like a proper eye opener. They're still going now, doing well. And that's actually where I met Josh, my co-founder.
Okay.
So, he was the CTO. I went in as like a client success director, but I was kind of doing like more of a data capacity role, but mainly dealing with all the clients is what I'm good at, dealing with different clients and things. And then I became the CIO. And then from there, we were both like, it's a great idea, great business, but it's not our business. Sure. And we were both, so Josh is a couple of years younger than me.
Still wasn't your baby.
No. But we were putting the hours in like it was.
Yeah.
I mean, we were doing 70-hour weeks. It was insane.
The company I worked for before Hollywood, I was employed as operations manager, 30 grand a year.
Yeah.
And I was basically running someone's company.
Yeah.
Making like nearly £1 million a year.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it clicks, like, do you know what I mean?
And it was like, you just didn't have the control that you wanted to try and shape it. Like, we were part of the senior team, but ultimately there's a CEO who's making the decisions.
I have to ask, what was the defining moment then within this role? Like for me, I remember mine quite clearly, sitting in the cinema watching a film called Us. Yeah. And my phone was going off, and I said to the person I was sat next to, I was like, I'm going to quit my job on Monday. And they were like, no, you're not. And I was like, yes, I am. And I did.
Yeah.
And that was it.
There's always a deciding factor, isn't there?
Yeah. I think there was...
Was it just obviously the more you got to know Josh?
Yeah, the more I got to know Josh, I really got on with him. And we were like...
He kind of saw your...
Yeah, we're like yin and yang, right? Yeah. So it's like I get overexcited about everything.
Yeah, I know
and Josh is completely the other way. He's like... maybe I don't think that'll be any good. But we find this perfect balance, and he's like the pragmatic one, and I'm the excited one. Yeah. But then there's certain things that wouldn't happen if I wasn't really excited, and then there's certain things that would have happened that shouldn't have happened if Josh wasn't the way he is. So we work really well together like that. Nice. So it was like that, like working together, and we were just like.
Was it just like, let's just do it?
Let's just do it. And we were talking one night over a beer, and we were like, we kept seeing the same problems, because with chatbots, they're awesome tech. And obviously we can, if you want to, talk about ChatGPT, which you guys have probably seen, which is class. I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were looking at, like, with the chatbots, people go in, well, can we just pull the data from that and put it into our chatbot? And I was like, well, where is the data? Oh, it's in a spreadsheet. Well, no, you can't, because it's in a spreadsheet. Yeah. Oh, I want to get the data from that. Where is it? It's on a PDF on our website. Well, no, it's on a PDF on your website. How do you want to incorporate that?
So all of a sudden at nights, you're like, working on stuff, being like, let's just bring all of this into something, and that something is configured.
Well, we were trying to find systems like you guys have been doing. It's going like
turns out there is nothing.
There isn't.
You found a problem, and there was nothing that was there to fix it.
And that was the turning point where we thought, right, we've got to do this now.
What was the reason for doing it between yourselves and not bringing it back to like you historically had done?
Yeah, that was that was his business.
Sure.
And it
you
was
were already there doing a job,
and it was there for one thing. Okay. And we were like, it doesn't fit the model to do that.
Yeah. Like, there's no point in trying to say we've got an idea, because you were there doing a job.
We were there doing a job, and it was like, that was his idea, and this is our idea. So we're going to go with our idea, which is a completely different thing. Yeah. And it was a good time to do it. So we're just like, let's do it.
So you started a business, and this is always the interesting conversation on the pod. Mm-hmm. Have you ever run a business before?
No, the closest I got is being self-employed as a contractor. So I got to grips with like the intricacies of like HMRC nightmares and all the rest of it. Then obviously being on the senior team in the chatbot company, we were like,
you see some things.
Yeah. And there was a lot of things in there that I was like, I probably wouldn't have done it that way. Yeah. So you by seeing things that you wouldn't do, but then also things, that's really interesting, I wouldn't have thought of doing that.
You bring so much stuff from working for other people.
Yeah, you gather
but you leave so much stuff. Yeah. I'm not going to do that in my business.
Yeah, you think, because you've seen someone else, the way someone else runs it, and you've picked out the things you think were good, and you've picked out the way things are bad. You think, oh, I know what I'm doing now, and then you go into your own business, and it's just.
Was it quite scary? Because obviously, all of a sudden, you're head of marketing, you're head of finance, you're head of customer service.
It was. It was a lot of long nights trying to get to grips with all the components of like a business. And
what was your priority then? So you did you obviously trademark Configur and was Configur not? When did you think of the name?
Configur was literally the first thing we did.
Really?
And it was probably the hardest thing we had to do was try and pick a name that worked and a logo that worked.
And a domain that was available.
Absolutely. Yeah, you know the challenge. Yeah, exactly. So it was the biggest thing. But we were really lucky because we'd been working in Tramshed Tech as well.
Yeah. Which is where you are now.
Which is where we are now in Newport. And we were in the Cardiff one, Penderys Street, Grangetown one.
Yeah. Does that just allow you to have one desk to start to work on an idea?
Yeah. Well, we spoke to them and said, look, we're doing our own thing now. Can we have space here? And they were like, yeah, but is there anything else we can do? And Tramshed actually kind of got a bit involved with us, started giving us some projects. So they're like a stakeholder in the business a little bit. It was a really good foundation to kind of
It is a
build
great
that
incubator,
network.
isn't it?
Really good.
You surrounded yourself with the right kind of people. And anyone from that initial kind of working at Tramshed, did you start to be like, do you want to come do this with us? Do you know what I mean? Because essentially everyone around you is thinking the same, no?
Yeah. It was weird because we were like, the first year we are just going to be us two.
Yeah.
So let's find our feet, find what we're doing. But then we were like, actually, I think we need someone fresh. So someone new. So we went and recruited and brought in Dennis, who's now our technical lead. He's the third guy in the business. He runs all the dev team now and stuff like that. And he was a great hire. Another Italian, although the guys say he's a proper Italian, and I'm apparently as Italian as a Tesco lasagna, but I am actually half Italian. So, he's been in the business and been kind of going from there. But it's been, so that is probably a little bit boring actually, but that's the kind of the journey.
Yeah,
and kind of
for me, I think that there's always bits that when you, as you say it, you think, oh, everyone's finding that boring, but like, I feel like it makes it more important to kind of like
makes it more relatable, I think.
Know how you got there, do you know what I mean? Because everyone, you start listening to that story and you think, fucking hell, Marco's smashing it, HP and do you know what I mean? All these big companies, and actually it's like, now you're happy.
Yeah.
Do you know
and do you know what? A lot of it as well is like luck and also taking your chances.
Yeah.
And like, I think.
Just 2 foot in approach.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of times when I've gone, oh, do I think I should do this? I might not be good enough for the job. And is that proper fear, especially when I went from ONS to HP, it was that sort of, am I pretending here? Am I actually not good enough? And then when I got there, I was like, no, I think I am. And I think I can do this. And it's such a weird thing.
It's mad because online you see so much like fake it to make it. But actually that's only going to get you so far. And then you're going to drown.
Yeah, 100%. So we're now end of the week. Have you had any highs or lows this week? Just trying to make it relatable to, because obviously you start to say, oh, I'm happy now, it's going well. And it's like, but running a business is still hard.
Yeah. So highs, I think, had a few new clients sign up this week, which is great. Always a high for me.
Was it a shorter week for you this week?
It was.
Because of the bank holiday?
I actually had Monday off. It was nice. I did. I'm very conscious of that as well at the moment. Is try and find time with the family, get the balance. Because you guys know, running your own business, you could work 100-hour weeks if you really let yourself.
Oh yeah, it's infinite.
You just burn out. There's just no point.
How do you manage that with family now? Because obviously we obviously heard how important that is for you and kind of massively. A key. Has your partner got kids as well?
No, because we were together from school. So the only kids she's got are the ones I've got, unless I don't know about it.
So that's, you build that into your week now, as in so you work around kind of your priorities, which are the family, but at the same time that, you know what I mean, we've got kids. It's like the best plan in the world. Sometimes it's like, I wanted to finish at 12 today, but it's 4 o'clock. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't do it without my partner. Like she does pretty much all the stuff in the house. She's got her own job as well. She works in Admiral and she's working at the group level. So she's doing all of that. But at the same time, she's super flexible. Yeah. I mean, I do get grief for it sometimes because it's like, you said you were going to be here, but like the one things, so we brought in a non-exec, James Taylor, and he did Superstars. If you ever want a good guest, by the way, he will talk for days. He's awesome. Yeah. But he built it from 0 to 100 people. And he came in and he had a very fresh perspective because we've gone through 2 funding rounds, right?
Yeah.
So
Because I saw that. Because can you just talk quickly about that then?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
obviously, to just going forward, then going back. So you had this idea and like you were doing it yourself. Configur was born. Did you then have to raise a certain amount of money to actually implement this software?
yeah, so we bootstrapped the first year.
Okay.
But
What does that mean? Just
so
your money?
like just basically doing projects, earning money, generating cash income to pay wages for us and and generate money in the business.
Because how much is it a cost for something like this, or is it just the time to generate the product?
It's mainly, at the beginning, it's mainly developer costs.
Yeah.
And at the time, development went remote. So developer salaries went insane. I mean, you're talking, you could get originally a developer in Wales for maybe 30, 35K. During lockdown.
And this is remote?
This is in-house. This is in-house.
And then demand over lockdown went up.
Lockdown went up, and then you were looking baseline for 2 years experience, 45K.
Yeah.
And we needed more experienced people. So it was anywhere between 45K and 70K you were looking at for a developer. So we were like, well, we can't bootstrap that. And we need to bring people in. And we need experienced people. We can't have people who don't know.
Yeah.
Did you think of touching base with anyone that you've solved amazing problems for to be like, look, I'm doing this on my own now. Do you fancy being part of it?
Do you know the problem? The salaries. So anyone that I knew from that world were all on really high salaries.
Yeah, like, Ian's great, but he still wants $950 a day.
Yeah, exactly.
And as a startup.
Yeah, I mean, there's like technical sales guys I know who are amazing. Their base is 105 grand.
Wow.
I can't bring them into a startup, but I'm with no guarantee that they can fit this world, because that's the other thing. It's a different vibe.
Yeah.
Corporate versus startup, it's a completely different experience.
So it was very organic, the team then.
Yeah, it was. We went through recruiters. We got some awesome recruiters that we know.
Yeah.
And you have to pay. You know, it's a necessary evil. It is what it is, but they do a good job of finding these people.
Yeah.
So we did that, and
obviously as like startups, then you're trying to be clever with like the little money you have, because obviously you're just trying to do everything you can. So when you talk about staff, did you kind of touch base on a lot more freelancers in like, okay, so this dev, can you just create this and then we'll kind of do this bit for it? Was it kind of that mindset at the start?
We've only ever used one contractor, and he was someone that we used before, knew before, and brought him in for certain things to help Josh out.
Was that key because he kind of got it?
He got it. He knew how he worked. He's a top guy. He's still contracting now and doing his stuff. But we were like, if we need to grow this, it needs to be funded by someone to give us money, because we're building a SaaS product at the end of the day.
Sure.
And you have to build it before people can pay for it.
Yeah.
It's not like a service when you can, like, we could keep doing consultancy, but you won't scale a business like that.
Yeah.
So it was like, we
have to get all the money in to build the product.
Jump in with 2 feet.
Yeah.
And I think like anyone who goes for fundraising, you think, oh, give it 4 months, we'll have all the money in.
Yeah.
No, it
so
was,
round one, how much did you raise?
We raised 235K, I think it was, round one. Oh no, 215K round one, at £1 million valuation, which is based on just like
when the product's created.
Yeah, the product, the tech, the stuff that you've generated. And we had 3 of us in the business at that point.
Yeah.
And we had like 3 basically clients.
Yeah.
But like one of them was like in from the ground up, was really supporting us and kind of helping shape the product.
Yeah.
The other 2 were just smaller. You always have that like flagship client that you and even now we still work with them. They're still using the product. And for us, I always said to Nick, I'll never forget that you guys took a chance on us.
Yeah.
If you didn't, we wouldn't have that flagship client.
Sure. So you look after them just as much as someone who's spending 10 grand a month.
100%. You know what I mean? 100%. Like they are a top client for us, always, basically. Yeah. And then, so we brought in the developers, but it took a long time. It took nearly a year end to end to bring the money in. So we'd already, like, obviously we were generating a bit of money and we had the money that we built up, but we were like working through the money. So by the time the money came in, we then had to go for another one.
Yeah. Did COVID have an effect on that, or was it just the way the business grew? It just took time.
Yeah, it just took time. It was just purely because it is interesting. We got put in contact with a few people from Tramshed, had a few private investors. We only did private investment because there's lots of, for anyone who's never done fundraising, there's a couple of options. You can go like Seeders, which is like a crowdfunding platform.
Yeah. Like public kind of.
Yeah, but then you've got people who've put £5 in, like challenging you, like they're like your boss.
Yeah, come into when's the AGM?
Yeah, I'm like, no, I don't fancy that. And then we went down the private route, so it takes a bit longer because you've got to build the network, get to know the different people. Yeah. So Tramshed actually put us in contact with a few. We had a few ourselves, but one of them was Lord Mervyn Davis, who used to be the chairman of Standard Chartered. He was also finance minister to Gordon Brown.
Wow.
So it was really funny actually. We got on a call with him and we got told we had a half-hour slot, and he's on his holiday, by the way. And I'm like, oh god, what, he's not going to want to
pool. He's like, talk to me.
He's not going to want to do this, is he? But he got on the call and
he was excited, was he?
Yeah, he was. He was very sort of calm for the first 5 minutes. Didn't say a lot, and then he literally challenged us on about a million things in one go.
But he knew you were onto something good.
Yeah, and then halfway through he said, "Look, I am interested, and I'm going to invest. But I actually think some people that I know would be interested as well."
Yeah. So let's do it together.
Yeah, so it opened it up, and that kind of led us to get into where we are. And
you wouldn't have got in them doors if you didn't open them.
And the thing is, when some people go for one investor and they talk about investors in the business and they're going to be like, they're going to be on your case all the time. How are you going to cope with that? Our investors are amazing. Yeah. They literally will support us when we need it. We can email them and ask them for intros. Yeah. We can say, look, we're struggling with this. Have you got any advice?
But they're not calling you and being like, okay, so how much we got in the bank today?
No, we now give them like quarterly updates. Yeah. And just say this is what's happening.
But obviously the return they're happy with.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I'm sure if it was going terribly, they'd be on our case.
You would know about it.
1,200%.
I was going to say, you're obviously doing something right to keep them quiet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we did the second round, which was amazing because we did it just from that first pool of investors, and we did it in 14 days. So we went from
everyone who'd invested, you basically said to them, look, we need more money. Yeah. Do you guys want first dibs?
Yeah, and nearly all of them came in again. So we've now done a 934k into the business investment in which helped set up.
That's such a big amount of money, but I'm guessing like that's the software.
Yeah, that's what's paying for the developers and the support staff and everyone. And obviously now it's nice.
You've got money coming in.
Yeah, it's really weird as well. Like you guys are going to be in the world of profitability, right? You want to be profitable as much as possible. Yeah. With a tech product, you kind of start off and you're kind of not that bothered about profitability. It's more about building the product and getting the customer. And as long as you can keep showing growth on the top line and showing that you're getting more and more clients on. Yeah.
No one looks at, you could spend £1 million could be going into the bank, but actually it's all going back out onto the product.
It is. Everything's getting put back into the product.
And you don't stress about accounts and showing a profit, and you just show about growth.
I still stress about accounts, don't get me wrong, because it ultimately comes down to like burn rates and stuff. So you don't want to you don't want to be burning a load of cash every month, but you kind of want to get past that point.
I remember in my IT project management days, we would I was made to do agile, which was all about fast delivery and making sure you were first to market, etc. Do you see other competitors coming to market? Like, is this something that you have the priority on? Like, is there any other competitors who you worry about in the spotlight?
Or is no one still doing it the way?
No, there's people that do stuff like this, but they do it in slightly different ways, and a lot of them are American companies. Okay. There are big American sort of consortiums that have got, and I mean billions of pounds of investment behind them, but they have got a very different take on how they do things, and ours is all about like simple for the business.
Yeah, it's almost like very like person focused rather than
and having that support for your business as well. It's not just about the product; it's about the whole package.
What one of my selling points being a small operation, which I think would be the same for yourselves, is you guys actually, as part of your onboarding process, you get to know the clients, you get to learn their problems
because you have the time to do so.
Exactly,
learn their voice, etc. So when you actually put the product together, it's probably more bespoke to themselves.
Exactly that, and we've got a UX UI guy, so he does user interface and experience basically.
Oh, nice.
And he will sit with our customers and find out about things that they want to see better, like where he can make improvements, and he designs it all up. So before we build anything, the designs are all done based on like a consolidated customer feedback from everybody.
Yeah. Okay, let's get onto it very quickly then. ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So I always think like everyone's like, oh, it's going to cost so many jobs, but I'm just thinking now it's actually starting to raise opportunity for new jobs. Prompt writing, I think, is going to become a role of the future. How do you incorporate those systems into what you guys are doing then? Yeah,
so there's people already starting to do it actually. So it's things like, so we've been looking at stuff like natural language for a while.
You guys in the office must be excited about it, right?
Yeah, we are. I mean, it's an amazing tool.
Yeah. Just knowing how to use it to get the most out of it. I suppose.
Is. Yeah. I mean, it's little things for anyone listening. A little tip is if you do use ChatGPT, and for anyone who doesn't know what it is,
just Google it.
Google it, it'll come up. But it's essentially a chat bot that you can ask questions to, and it holds all the information on the web. 17% of the information on the web at the last one. So you can, prompt it. But the biggest challenge is if anyone wants to use it, you can say, I want to write a paper on X, but you should always add the prompt of in the tone of A. and then say what that person is.
I always say the output is only as good as the input.
So if you wanted to write an Instagram post for you should be like, I want to write an engaging Instagram post.
Yeah, an engaging Instagram post in the style of a marketer.
Bloody hell.
Not
Where's my notepad?
Yeah. Because if you do it in the style of a marketer, they will write it in the same language as a marketing person.
The response is so generic.
How do they know that though? That blows my mind.
I know.
Do you what I mean?
They've based it on so many learning points and different things. But there's lots of products now that say, oh, we integrate with ChatGPT, which it does. But all its really core bit is doing at the moment is the natural language process.
When actually, again, it's, are you at the back of your mind thinking, I want to be able to get the data from here into my systems?
Exactly. So like and people are like, oh, I can leverage this for the business to understand our stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, actually, you need to get your core stuff right first before you can use any of that.
This is almost just like a fun top up.
Yeah.
But if you're not doing it, there's no point in writing engaging Instagram posts if no one's going on your Instagram.
Exactly. But yeah, as a tool itself, it's really amazing and worth everyone having a look at it. Yeah. In terms of what it does.
Configur. What's your next 12 months, next 3 years, next 5 years? Where do you want to be?
We're currently a team of 11. Up until the end of the year, the plan is to be a team of around 20, 21.
Nice. So staying where you are?
We're staying in Newport. Probably in Tramshed. I don't think there's any plans yet.
You've got the space to grow there?
Got the space. We can have additional offices as we need to. The nice thing is the developers are mostly remote. So we have quarterly kickoffs and stuff. Okay. Yeah, we do things a little bit different as well. We like to try and like make it a bit fun. So we had a yearly kickoff. We took the whole team away to Amsterdam.
I saw that actually.
Yeah,
I was like, quite cool. Got any jobs going?
But yeah, it's just to try and mix it up a bit. And you know.
Is that standard for the devs? Sorry. Is that as in like any tech company, like it'd be you've got to have a lot of money if you've got a dev sat in your desk? Or is it just the way they work?
I think it's more common now.
Yeah.
It's definitely
more common. They sit in dark
now.
rooms with 5 screens and they charge a lot of money a day.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I used to be one myself, so I can say that. But But it's but so the core team kind of comes in the office day to day. Yeah. But again, even they're hybrid. Okay. You know, the nice thing is now we're in a collaborative world. You don't need, you've got the tools there.
There's no stress. Like, as long as everyone's doing the same amount of work. Yeah. Or actually, they're probably doing more because they're a bit more relaxed about it. Do you know what I mean?
And you probably use Configur yourselves, and you can see if someone's not using it. And
have you got like do you run your company off your own software?
We do. Yeah, those would be a bit sad if we didn't.
Well, I was just thinking to myself, I must be so clever because if like have you ever using it? Have you found something which needs to be an improvement or doesn't work?
All the time, yeah. Okay. So our guys operational team who use it all the time, they're constantly feeding back.
Yeah. And so you're getting an email saying, "Oh, this could be better," or which is just for your clients. Yeah. It's just an amazing thing because like you're trying to better yourselves for everyone's benefit.
Exactly. Like one of the big things was like a bit of a UI refresh. So like changing the look to make it a bit more kind of fresh. And
I suppose it's still got to be quite clean though because there's so much going on.
Yeah. So that's been the big focus this year is getting like that refresh in. But we wanted everyone's input. So like we've got all the customers to feed in and what they wanted to see. And you can't put everything in, but you can kind of just make it fresher and feel nicer. So
5-year plan? Don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's with any kind of investment, you're looking to be acquired or float on the stock market or any of those things.
Do you want to get it to a point where you can sell it to someone like HP?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a great position to get into. We've got a lot of work to do before then, anyway. You know, there's a lot of. We need to focus on the now, get that done. Yeah. We've got like a 12-month strategy and a 3-year strategy, but ultimately we're focusing very much on the 12-month. Let's get it where it needs to be and grow.
Last 2 questions then.
Last 2. So I'm going to give you £1,000. It's day 1 of walking into ONS. Yeah. Configur's not even born yet. Uh-huh. What do you do with it? You've got all the knowledge you've got today, but you have to use your £1,000 on day 1.
Well,
you can have it cash as well.
I won't repeat Gary's because Gary's actually in BNI with me. So BNI is a good use because it is a good referral system and good for building your network from day 1.
Yeah. Do you feel like everyone in your network understands what you do, or do you feel like you talk and people are still don't really know what Marco does?
I've simplified it a lot, just to make sure that people get
I can make your life easier.
My new strapline is if you see Excel, give me a bell.
You don't even need the 60 seconds. It's done.
Yeah, but I'd probably say I'd buy myself a MacBook Pro.
Oh, really?
Because I think for me personally in my industry, everything is done on the laptop. Sure.
Why MacBook? Are you an Apple guy?
I'm an Apple guy. Yeah, we love them. You know,
I'm not. No? Why if you're not an Apple guy? You wouldn't know what laptop to get, would you?
No.
It's all your stuff. It's all your stuff company wise. Apple as well.
Just the laptops, really, primarily. Most of it's all cloud, so it doesn't really matter. But
What's the benefit? It's just preference.
Preference, and I think because I can, like most software, when you're starting out, you can get stuff for free. Just to kind of cobble it together.
And it has a lot of stuff on there, doesn't it?
But I think having a MacBook, which has got like the multi-screen capabilities and all of that stuff, just makes you more productive. So that would be my very boring. I would get that.
Here's $1,000. Buy a laptop.
Yeah.
Buy a MacBook Pro.
Buy a nice laptop so I can crack on.
Okay, Craig, what's your question?
So with everything that you've learned,
Yeah.
if so everyone listening, if they're looking to make the jump themselves, what's the one piece of advice that you would pass on?
Get a co-founder.
Get a co-founder.
I don't even have to think about that one. I think there's so many highs and lows in business. Like you'll have a great week and then you'll have a terrible week where something just goes drastically wrong. But you when there's two of you, you both have a different perspective on it. So if you're having a particularly down day, they can drag you back up, and I think that works really well. And also they level you out, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
we've got that. I can't get overexcited then, that kind of stuff.
I have mixed feelings on that.
Oh, go on. No, expand.
I just think you need to make sure that you are aligned from day one.
Yeah.
And if you're not aligned from day one, then it's not going to be a good partnership long term.
Yeah. So
I say that from
I take it you've been burnt in the past.
I'm not going to say burnt. It's just it hasn't worked out for me.
No,
I think you're right though. So I brought my best mate Nick into the business. So he actually was in the army for 14 years.
Yeah.
Left the army to come and work with me, and I've known him. Like I met him up a tree when I was like 11. Do you know what I mean? That's a story in itself. But like he's almost like he's got massive OCD and like a bit like you. Do you know what I mean? I'm the excited. Yeah, we'll do this. We'll do it. And Nick's like, yeah, go on then. Do you know what I mean? But like actually that yin and yang is probably what makes us successful. And like when I'm having a crap day or I'm stressed, Nick's like, don't stress. Or when, do you know what I mean? And I genuinely feel like this is so Nick only joined the business like last August. And before that, I was just trying to do everything myself. Do you know what I mean? And like, I feel as though it does have a massive impact, but it's the right person.
Yeah.
I created a job for Nick. There wasn't that job of running the business with me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you can find the right person, great. That's the pod, is it?
That's the pod, yeah.
There we are.
That's us done.
For anyone interested to learn more, we're definitely going to have a coffee after this because I feel like
good.
I genuinely didn't realise how good and applicable your product is. I think it's, do you know what I mean? And whether it's just you do a small amount of bit for Hollywood or whether actually you can help with a lot of problems. I'm sure everyone listening is probably the same. So hopefully the inquiries come in thick and fast. We'll put all your links and where people can find you. Thanks very much for giving it your time.
Appreciate
Thanks,
you having
good
me,
on, mate.
guys.
Really good story. Really appreciate that.
Really interested. Let's
Thanks
close the
very
play.
much.
Thanks, man.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.